welcome to the Goldenrod Podcast, bringing you some of the latest and greatest Pokemon news and a few laughs along the way. I'm Ben, and as always, I'm joined by fellow Pokemon enthusiast Conor. Before we begin, you can jump around the podcast by using the timestamps in the description below. Conor, how are we doing?
I am so hype right now. This week cannot end fast enough. It needs to be the 18th already. I need to be playing these games.
Yeah, it's, you know, when everyone talks about like life goes too fast. It's going too quick.
Yeah, don't wish your youth away and stuff like that.
But I kind of want the next week to just do, like, you go to sleep and then you wake up and it's the Friday and I can go and buy it and I can go and play it. I am at maximum hype level for this game now. I am ready to just sink my life into this game. I have kind of wrapped up the other games in my life that I want to play. So literally any spare time that I have, I'm just experiencing this game. I'm going to live it and I cannot wait for it.
And I get to play it twice. And I'm probably gonna play it twice. Because we found out that there is a reason to get both games. But we'll come on to that in a little bit.
We will. So I do have a question, though. Are you going to be playing them side by side or one, then the other?
So I think my plan is to stream Scarlet and play Violet on my own.
Okay, right.
So
I can understand that.
Because I don't really want to, like, progress through the story of a game that I'm streaming off stream. That doesn't seem like a good...
I get that.
That's not smart. And I did this with Legends Arceus, where it was a case of, like, I played the story on stream, and then I'd finish because I'm just tired of streaming. But I still want to play. I want to play the game then to relax. Yes. And I found I could, like, go around and maybe do a couple of missions and stuff, but I couldn't do any story progress, which really wound me up. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a case of, like, 8-hour streams of Scarlet, followed by 8 hours of playing Violet on my own.
It's funny, actually. I did the same thing with Legends Arceus. It had that fantastic gameplay loop where, oh, you're not ready to progress the story. Well, you can just go out and complete your Pokedex. And this feels like it's going to be the same where, like you say, you stream for a few hours and then, okay, I need to wrap up. But there's things you can do, like the busy work, I guess, that maybe you don't want to show on stream. Like catching Pokemon, evolving them, just doing some of the raid dens. This game feels like there's going to be a lot to do.
I hope so. It does definitely seem that way, but
yes,
just so excited for it.
I know.
We got 2 trailers to talk about this week. We can't just sit here and muddle on.
we can't. So as Connor's pointed out, we do have, I don't know, a treasure trove of new content this week.
Brilliant.
Thank you very much. So on that point, Gimmighoul. So we caught up briefly in Discord, didn't we, when this kind of dropped?
Yeah, we thought this was going to be the entire episode.
But no. So initial thoughts. Go. What did you think?
I'm not the biggest fan of the design.
Okay.
I think it's too flat, but
okay.
It's a mimic Pokemon. I'm a big fan of D&D. That's a big win in my book.
Yes.
It had one of the coolest reveals we've ever had for a Pokemon. And I love the fact that Pokemon Go is getting involved again. So there's a lot of wins here for me. I'm just not massively won over by its design.
Okay, should we do one at a time? Start with design?
Yeah.
Okay. I love the chest form. Absolutely. I love that. Like you say, like, mimic variety of monsters. My first experience with them wasn't in D&D, it was Final Fantasy IX, and there are a typical JRPG, there are treasure chests just along your adventure that you can open, and the first time one of them opened and jumped, and it was like, oh, I'm in a fight, this is a monster, blew my mind. And then again in Dark Souls, the first time that happened, and anyone that's played that game knows it's unforgiving. So all of a sudden, this chest sprouts legs and starts walking at you. So I love that kind of design, especially if they implement it like other games do, where, you know, the first time you see this chest, you open it up, it's not a Gimmighoul. It's literally just a chest with an item in it. And then you start to, every time you see one, it's building up that expectation and hype that eventually it's going to be the Gimmighoul and I'm going to get the opportunity to catch it.
Well, it's the role that used to be used by Voltorb. Like, that's what Voltorb was designed around, because they decided that, you know, items are going to be represented by Pokeballs in game. We're going to make a Pokemon that looks like a Pokeball as well. And then in Gen 5, it was obviously replaced by not Shroomish. Fungus and Amoonguss.
Yes.
You know, they became the Mimic Pokemon. So we've always had them. But yeah, I think you're right. Unless there actually are treasure chests that you can open as well, it does fall a little bit flat. Not very much, but it does fall a little bit flat.
Yeah. I love the treasure chest design. I red and gold, beautiful. Gimmighoul's act. So that's its chest form, creatively named, and then we have its roaming form, which was first seen in Pokemon Go. I saw it, I screenshotted it, drew a circle around it, whacked it on Twitter. Just confused more than anything. I was like, "What is this monstrosity following me around?" It doesn't look good on Pokemon Go. In the trailer, though, I've warmed up to it.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I think the thing that's kind of sealed it for me is that on some of the images on the Pokemon website, that the antennae both are pointing in the same direction, like a dowsing machine.
Yeah, that's the idea of it. They're the item finders, dowsing machines kind of thing.
Yes. The gold eyes and the big coin on its back. I've warmed up to this. Do I think it is a bit flat? Yeah, I completely take your point. I get that. I do like the idea that it's only 1 inch tall and it's dragging around this massive coin. I don't quite know how that is going to work in Scarlet and Violet, whether or not you do get to play with the two forms, whether or not it is just the chest form, because the trailer I've seen.
So the way it works, at least from what we've been able to gather so far, is that in Scarlet and Violet, you will only be allowed to use the chest form. You will only be able to catch the chest form.
Yes.
The roaming form is only going to be in Pokemon Go. If you will be able to see roaming Gimmighoul within Scarlet and Violet, but they will always run away from you, and when they do, they'll drop a coin, which you can give to your Gimmighoul, and then maybe at 999 it'll evolve. But who knows?
Oh, that is it. Oh, that's good. I like that. That is a great gimmick for an evolution. Something that we haven't seen before. So I did see that. I saw a bit of information that apparently you'll need to link these games to catch Gimmighoul's roaming form in Pokemon Go. That was a throwaway sentence that I've seen. I haven't seen it on the official Pokemon website, so I'm not 100% sure. It just said, come back for more information in 2023.
Yeah, because Pokemon Home link isn't coming until spring.
So that would make sense that you can only catch that version in Pokemon Go and then transfer it across, because you could Melton. Remind me again, Melton you could only get in Pokemon Go?
You could only catch it in Pokemon Go, yeah.
And could you
can then
evolve it in Pokemon Go?
Yes, because you needed a whole bunch of Meltans come together in order to evolve it, so yeah.
It's been a while then, hasn't it, since we've had a Pokemon Go generation kind of link. I mean, the last one was Let's Go, which is a little bit different, and Meltan
Gen
is
7.5, really.
Yeah, because Meltan still isn't in any of the Pokedexes, is it? It's an unknown region. Is that still a thing?
Right, I always forget whether it's at the start of Gen 8 or if it's the end of Gen 7. Because it shows up in the Gen 7 anime, but it's then got a Gigantamax form as well.
Yeah. But this feels like...
Melmetal's a weird one. No, this is straight up a Gen 9 Pokemon.
Yes. And it was only a few weeks ago that we actually spoke about why aren't they utilizing Pokemon Go more? And I think, if anything, this proves that Nintendo are listening to me and you.
Yep, big up. I mean, as they should. We're one of the best Pokemon podcasts out there. And everybody in the comments will agree with me.
Top dollar gang. So, what do you think about this being a ghost type?
Well, this is the thing. So, the chest form is a ghost type. If you go on the website, we don't know anything about the roaming form. Its category is unknown, its type is unknown, its height is unknown, its weight is unknown, and its ability is unknown.
Oh, I did not know that. I'm a little bit confused, I guess, why it's a pure ghost type. We've had a couple of ghost type reveals.
Yeah, we had Grievard, we had the two Gun and Sword brothers.
Yeah, them ones. They're going hard on the ghost forms, and I don't know whether or not that is because they're setting up that ghost type Pokemon or at least certain ghost type Pokemon play a bigger role in the story, maybe, or maybe it's just they've got a selection of Pokemon. Which are the ones that are going to resonate most with fans and help to build up that hype. But it's just a bit strange at this. I feel this one's a bit strange that it's just a pure ghost type, at least in its chest form, right?
Were you expecting like Ghost Steel?
Yeah, I was.
The thing is, you got to remember that the coins aren't actually a part of it. It's just a thing that it's collecting, or more importantly, it's making you collect.
Right, that makes sense. That actually explains with the ghost typing then, because it manipulates people, doesn't it? It almost
compels you
them?
to go.
Yeah.
You kind of get this compulsion to go and collect coins for it. And then once you've collected all the coins, you have no idea what happened.
Because was there a website or something that had the chest?
So they did it over the course of a day. They revealed the chest, and then I think like an hour later, the chest opened, and it said there was like 39 coins in it. And then the chest slowly filled up over the course of the day. And we got to see the back of it. And then at one point, there was a hidden fourth option that you could click. And you heard the cry of Gimmighoul. And then eventually, it got round to the chest being full. We hit 999 coins. And it revealed a video that was privated.
Right. Okay. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it wasn't very well done. But seeing the trailer, like, the idea was there. They just didn't execute it perfectly.
Okay, I like that. So the question, one of the questions I have then is, in most free roaming games, open world games, there is some kind of collectible mechanic.
Yes,
we had it in Legends Arceus, yeah. So are we getting? Is this what this is?
I think that's what this is. I think this is your Koroks. This is your Wisps. This is your. Are they called Cocos in the new Sonic game? I've not played it yet.
I don't know. So do we think it's the coins you're collecting, chests, maybe? Bit of both.
So it'll be the coins, if anything, because again, the chests are the Pokemon, and then you have to go and find other Gimmighoul, and then when they see you, they'll run away and they'll drop their coin, which you then take.
Do you think you have to chase them down? Like
no.
Moving ones? No. Okay.
No, I don't think so. I think the way it's been suggested is like you just can't get the roaming form at all.
Okay.
So you see it, you walk up to it, it drops its coin and runs away, and then you take the coin.
I meant more like you see it, and you have to basically chase it down to drop the coin, and then it hightails it out of there.
No, I'm pretty sure it's just like, because we've seen it on top of a little sign, like a road sign, and then it sees you and it's like, oh no, and runs away, and then you go up and pick up the coin.
I do like this. I've gone. So the collecting items in the overworld mechanic. Did you ever play what was it called on the Xbox 360? I can't remember what it was, but you had to collect orbs around the city, and there were hundreds of them. I kid you not, hundreds of them, and it got a little bit overkill because you followed a guide. There was always one left at the end of the guide, and you're like, where is that one?
Have I got to go through all this again?
Yes, again. Yeah. However, what I did like about Legends Arceus is that it was only 108. It was tied in with a Pokemon, which I really liked, the fact that you got a reward for doing it. But also the great thing was you could mark it off on the map, so you knew where you had found some of the Wisps. So if they implement all that into this, I'm happy collecting more coins or whatever we're collecting. I'm happy with this. I really am.
You want to collect 999 coins across
maybe
Paldea.
Not that many. Maybe not that many. But maybe if like you see them and you get 10, or there'll be there's no way it's 999 though, right?
Why not? That's certainly the way it looks.
That's one way to get you to playing for a while. I don't know how I feel about that many. To be honest with you, this seems a bit overkill.
Well, there's 900 Koroks in Breath of the Wild.
Is there that many?
So, yeah.
Oh, we are doing it, aren't we? It's 999 coins scattered. And
the thing is, if that is how you evolve it, if you need 999 coins in order to evolve it, this better not be a good Pokemon competitively.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be... I don't think it will. It'll be another gimmick Pokemon, won't it? Where, it's fun to play with. It has its uses, but in a competitive matchup, it probably doesn't stack up. somebody somewhere will find a way to make it work, I guess. And obviously, it raises the question of shiny hunting this mon. Like, how does that? You collect 999.
You better evolve the right one.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm all on board with this. Absolutely loving it. Yeah. I've really got nothing else to say about Gimmighoul. Don't know if you have.
No, it's fun. As I say, the story behind it was one of the best reveals we've had up to date. I love it so much. I love Jacques and Willow chatting together.
Yeah,
it was the first bit of good voice acting we've had this season.
Agreed. Yeah. It worked really. Like, it's a shame they weren't animated and physically talking, but I understand there's limitations to what they can do in terms of time and money and other resources. But in terms of voice acting, when they started talking, I was like, these are really high quality voice actors.
Yeah, compared to, like, what was it? Only a couple of months ago, we had that trailer with the voiceover telling us, like, go on an adventure. And it sounded like he recorded it in a bathroom on the worst mic. It was awful. So, yeah, big up for that. Also love the fact that, Jacques is quite clearly, like, the good professor. Like, he's supposed to take on the professor role. There's no way the two professors like Sada and Turo.
Well, he's a biology teacher, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yes. So do we think... I'm on board with you that these professors, I don't think they are the typical professors that we get that are nicey, help you out and everything. There's something underlying there.
Yeah, I think they've got their own agenda, shall we say.
Agreed, which is why I think they've been very tight-lipped on them. I think we're going to get a reveal in that game that actually the professors maybe are just at the school to find out information and they don't care about the students. Like you say, they have their own agenda. And I'm okay with it. What I do like is the fact that every generation they find a new tweak or a new twist for the quote unquote bad team or the evil team. And I know that there are people that don't like the Team Yell, but I do. I don't mind it because they were never, I don't think they ever said they were the bad guys. They're just a bunch of rowdy people that are rooting somebody on that, they do get in the way, but it's not like that out and out, oh, we're the bad team. And then there's a rug pull towards the end where they're not the bad guys. It was never stated. It was just a new way that they can implement a quote unquote bad team in a different way. And the fact that they are potentially doing this with professors that have not so much been... Is stagnant the right word? The professors you always know what you're getting with them in every single generation.
They've always been like a safe bet. Like,
yes.
Yeah. I think the biggest rug pull we've had was Kukui being a champion.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah. That was a bit... Oh, okay, right. I didn't expect that, but it wasn't... It did make sense in that context because it was a brand new Elite Four and... I'm completely on board with that. And I'm on board with these two professors potentially being up to something. I really am.
Well, it can bring us quite nicely onto the other trailer because they show up in that and have a good bit of dialogue that says something along the lines of, if you come with me, you'll have an experience that's guaranteed to be a treasure or something worth treasuring. So they are up to something and they want you involved in it.
Come over to the dark side, eh? Okay. This trailer, because trailer trailer doesn't do it justice. It was an experience.
It really was. I did weep.
I was very emotional after watching it. Did you? I have to ask this because I watched your live reaction. Did you get copyright claimed?
Oh, of course I did.
Of course you did. I was going to say the moment that started.
Well, actually, it was a day later that I got copyright claimed. It wasn't till like this morning, day of recording.
Oh, it's infuriating because
I'm sure I could probably argue it, but
yeah. So, watching this trailer, I'm going to use the word trailer because there's not really another word that easily surmises what it is. But what were the big takeaways from you from this?
Okay, so the biggest takeaway, well, actually not even the biggest takeaway. There's so much going on here.
Yeah.
Let's start at the top. The graphics look infinitely better.
They do. Yeah. I think this must have been created on the build that is being sent out in the cartridges, right? There's no way this
has to have been.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes me a little bit sad that the rest of the trailers haven't been. Because it's, we've had just in the back of our minds, like, it's not great though, is it? Like, I love it and I'm hyped, but it's not great though, is it? And then this comes out and it's like, oh no, it is. It actually is that good.
Yeah.
So now, I will say, like, a lot of it was down to, the music was obviously beautiful, and the dynamic camera angles really did a lot. We're obviously not going to get that dynamic camera within the game. However, I do think the fact that they were willing to show things that close up shows that they're, confident in what they got. They're like, no, this does look good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they've had many years now to get an understanding of the Switch technology and the hardware and what they can push out on it. So it's no surprise that what is more than likely the last Pokemon game on the current iteration on Nintendo Switch, whether or not they do a Nintendo Switch 2 or something else in the future, what is more than likely the last main line game is going to look the best one out of all of them. I'm still looking forward to just playing it and being able to look around and do the thing, because like you say, the trailer was great, but it's not like you can rotate it around and have a look and see what else is going on. The shots were chosen for a very specific reason. I think they hit a lot of the beats that they needed to in terms of summarizing the story, building up the Pokemon, which, and I'm going off on a sidetrack here, they felt so genuine and real.
Yeah, they've done a lot as far as like animations are concerned.
Yeah, like
you see a lot of, there's like the Cyclizar stretches out before it lies down, and you see its tail all elongate. Yeah. You see two Palmies, and it's got two different lying down animations. They do a group shot, and you see Lucario like hands on its hips.
Yes.
Like, I'm very proud of myself. And right in front of his Jolteon just curled up in a ball, like, it's cool, whatever. Like, it just looks so real and so alive, and I love it so much.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, watching this, everything you just said, the animations, the lighting on the Pokemon, everything just feels so alive.
There's even little character moments, like you walk up to the Titan Cloth, and Sprigatito just like, oh no! Yeah, it's such a short little segment, but it shows so much character.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
Again, going off a tangent here, we've discussed about Legends Arceus DLC, and the team probably got pulled off Legends Arceus once it was done onto this. I think we can see why now.
Yeah.
Because Legends Arceus DLC, great, will bring you in some income, but would it bring as much in as polishing this game? Because I don't know pre-order figures for this. I've not looked into it.
I'm fairly certain it's one of the highest pre-orders ever.
Which is one
more so than any other Nintendo game.
So I saw something that was put out by is it Joe Merrick of Cerebi fame, basically breaking down the sales figures for every single Pokemon game that has come out. No surprise, Red, Blue, and Green are still on top. Sword and Shield is second. This is taking second spot, surely. Potentially first. We will have to wait and see, but this is taking second spot. And I think what is going to make and break this is word of mouth once it comes out, positive reviews, people then going, oh, I'm going to play this. I have been speaking to people in my personal life that have been saying, I've not played Pokemon since I was a little boy, but this one's like making me want to just try it and see what has changed. And I think there will be lots of people like that have got a Nintendo Switch, see this and go, this game really good reviews. I'm gonna get this. It ticks a lot of boxes. It's open world. It's got all these Pokemon. It's easy to access now. It's not, you've got to do loads of grinding and stuff like that. It just feels like the trailer at least, and what we've seen feels like this is the vision we've had for Pokemon for a while. It's just taken us longer to get there than we wanted.
Yeah.
Does that sound fair?
Yeah, that makes absolute sense.
Yeah. So let's talk about what
all the textures are on the Pokemon now as well. It's just
yes. Oh, it's been needed. It has been needed because the last couple of years there has been part of me thinking Pokemon should never have gone 3D.
3D.
It should have gone. Have you ever seen Octopath Traveler? I think it is on the Switch.
No.
So it's kind of like pixelated, but in a 3D way, and it looks gorgeous. And when the first time I saw that, I just looked at it and thought, yeah, Pokemon probably should have done this instead because it would have given it something unique about it, where you've got all these JRPGs that are 3D, and this one it wasn't. But anyway, so let's take that.
I think it looks great.
Yeah, I do as well. So it's good to know that we finally got there. So, the trailer. So there's three big things that stood out for me. The first one is probably the least has the least impact on the story, and it's one thing that you called out was the Titan Pokemon actually eating the Herba Mystica.
I don't even think I said that. I knew
not?
they were related to it. I thought they were like protecting it or something.
Yeah, I thought they were protecting it as well, but the cloth is actually eating it, isn't it?
It munches it and then gets to have what looks like totem powers. You know, so it's going to be even harder battle than it was before, which is great because, you know, we saw in one of the trailers, I think it's they did the Drifloon use like a water type move or an ice type move or something, and it just wrecked it. It just took its health 3/4 of the way down. I'm like, these are supposed to be hard fights. But if it's a case of you have to do stage by stage by stage, and then it has a final form where it eats the Herba Mystica and becomes like overpowered like the totem Pokemon, I'm here for it. I'm ready.
Agreed. Pokemon have always been, it almost feels like there is challenge in the Pokemon games, but maybe not as much as some people want. So maybe what this game is doing is, okay, if you go down the traditional gym route, there is a challenge, but you will get through there. And maybe the more difficult aspects they've put off on some of the side quests, maybe. So if you want the bigger challenges, you can go out and seek them. And
that
maybe
would make sense.
Which, if they go down, I'm absolutely fine. I have to do that. Fantastic. Maybe the whole thing with the Titan Pokemon is, like you said, like you saw that, the water type attack from Drifloon just absolutely bodied it. Maybe it's a case that the Titan Pokemon are built in a way that you need to exploit their weakness to stand a chance. So if you're going against it with neutral moves, you're going to hurt it, but it's going to be hitting you pretty hard while you're not doing a lot to it, and you need to seek out Pokemon with a type advantage. Again, opening up the whole thing about Pokemon is going out, exploring, and catching the right Pokemon as tools to help you to accomplish whatever goal it is you are trying to accomplish.
Careful, people don't like that. People want to use the Pokemon they want to use and nothing else.
I know.
I found that one out the hard way.
So which I get, and I've always played that way. I have always played that way of, okay, this is my team, and I'm going to brute force this gym, even though I don't have a super effective move. I'm going to brute force it. But from a game developer point of view, there are reasons why they put Pokemon that are super effective against the next gym in a certain area or route before the next gym, because they want you to go, oh, they're the Pokemon I want. And they tried to do it with Pokemon Let's Go, where it was like, okay, before you can go into this gym, you need a grass-type Pokemon, which is super effective. I don't know if they're going to do that. I can understand if they do that. But, like you say, I think some people will be a bit peeved if you're forced to use certain Pokemon to accomplish goals.
Yeah, agreed.
One of the other things that... Go on.
I was going to say, one of the other things is the raids.
Yeah.
The raids look so much better all of a sudden.
They look cleaner, they're quicker. Just
we got a new hat. We got the dragon
type. You love the dragon type hat, don't you?
I really do. I didn't like any of the hats before, and now I'm not bothered by them. They actually look okay.
They look all right, don't they? They actually work. I think it was maybe one of those things where the first time you see it, you're a bit, oh, that sticks out a lot. But the
Again,
more
I just don't think the lighting was finished.
Yeah, perhaps.
So you've got this big crown that's supposed to like refract light in that, but you haven't finished the lighting in the game, so it doesn't look great. Now it looks great.
Yeah, it does. It looks really good. Like even the scissor.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna lie. When I was watching that, my first thought, and I know I was wrong. I was like, it's Mega, and I don't know why my head jumped there, because there's a brief moment where obviously it shines light, so it's like really distorted. And I swear I saw the arms of the scissor, and
it does the same animation where it like spreads its arms apart.
Yeah,
and goes,
that's what I thought, and I was like, and honestly, at that point, I thought there was 1,000 things going through my head at that point, and my thought was, if they bring back Megas for this, because it would be number one selling Pokemon game. People would flood back in. I'm kind of glad they're not doing Megas, because I really want to give this terrestrialization mechanic opportunity to shine.
I think terrestrialization is going to change Pokemon more than Megas.
Agreed. Yeah,
simply because it's available to everything.
Yes.
And like you can't just use it every single battle. You do need to recharge the Terra Orbs and stuff like that. But you can bring it out at any point. So it's one of those things of like, it's not just an instant win button. You do have to think about it. It's actually going to be something worth using during playthrough as well as in competitive.
Yeah, agreed. I'm looking forward to seeing this in competitive. It is a mechanic that it can make. It feels like it can make almost any Pokemon viable all of a sudden.
Agreed.
And it will, because like the Megas Dynamaxing have always felt like, okay, we're going to cherry pick some Pokemon to give them a bit more limelight.
Yeah.
This feels like any Pokemon can share that limelight. If used in the right way, and you go out, you catch the Pokemon you want, and you think, okay, well, it's this typing. Well, actually, if I make it this typing, suddenly it negates weaknesses. It gives me stab type moves, whatever it might be. I'm really on board with this mechanic. I've come around on it from the start, where I was like, well, okay, right, I get it. But I think we had a lot of unanswered questions when it was first announced, whereas they kind of touched on, I think, everything I need to know at this point.
Yeah. I mean, they've also given us information about the special events as far as the raids are concerned. One of the first ones we're getting is an Eevee special event, so you'll be able to catch Eevee in special Terror Dens, which will have all the different Terror types, which is cool, because we were a little bit worried, like, oh, how are you going to get all the different, there's like 18 different types, so you're going to try and catch the same Pokemon 18 times and just hope it's in the dens, but they will be spotlighted. And then we also get black Terror Crystals, which is just so cool to look at.
Yes.
That's going to have special, effectively 7-star raids in them.
Mm-hmm. So this replaces what it was in the Wild Area in Sword and Shield, where you had the Dynamax, the raid dens that were just purple light, and then you had the version that was like purple light with loads of swirling Dynamax energy around it. Yeah. That's basically what this is.
These are the super duper radical ones. And then in the first one, it's Charizard, but it's Dragon Charizard.
Yeah.
And it's getting the mightiest mark, which is great. I love that they're bringing marks back.
Wait, what's the mightiest mark? Sorry.
So the mightiest mark, it's a mark that your Pokemon has. And it just, I can't even remember what the marks do. I can't remember if it's the one that like says what it is when it comes out into battle. I will look it up really quick.
Oh, yeah. Let us know what that is.
But yes, other things about the raid dens. Have you seen like the level of animation here as well? For like throwing the Pokeball has never looked so good.
Oh, it looks beautiful. It looks really good. It's
like we'd seen the bit where he like reels back and tosses it. Yeah. But I like the bit after that where the Pokeball goes all crystallized, catches it, and then the crystal explodes off of it once it's done.
Yeah.
It looks so good.
Beautiful. It looks absolutely beautiful.
And in the same vein, when a Terra Pokemon faints, the crystal explodes off of them as well.
Yeah.
Like, I almost want to terrestrialize my Pokemon for them to faint, because I don't like the terrestrialization animation. I think that's going to get really old really fast. But then fainting looks amazing.
Yeah, it looks really good. And what I like is the fact that they have done something with this that fits the lore of the region. Whereas with Dynamaxing, when you knocked out a Dynamax Pokemon, there was just explosions. Okay, great. I mean, sure, it doesn't really fit with Dynamaxing. I guess explosions, release of energy, maybe, but there's surely a better way to do that. Whereas this, it feels like, yeah, it's a crystal. It's gonna explode. Like, what do you expect? And it's beautiful. I cannot wait to start exploring some of these dens. And again, what I've spoken about in previous podcasts, it's a way to get players to keep coming back.
Yeah.
And okay, this week or this month, it's these Pokemon with these Terra types, and it just gives you the opportunity to seek out some of the rarer Pokemon or the Terra types that you really want.
Yep. I can confirm, by the way, the marks were indeed what I thought they were. Okay. So you get them on certain Pokemon. You can only have one per Pokemon, and they give your Pokemon a certain title as well. So, for instance, if you get the Rainy mark on your Quagsire, you will throw out Quagsire the Sodden.
Oh, wow.
If you get the Stormy mark on your Raikou, it'll be Raikou the Thunderstruck. And in Scarlet and Violet, we're going to get Charizard the Mighty.
Okay, I don't know anything about this. If I missed this or something, is this...
They are super hidden. They were really, really hard to get hold of, and like became something... Because Shinies got easier and easier over the years.
Yeah.
People started hunting for marks instead. It's great.
Wait, how long has this been in Pokemon for?
Sword and Shield.
I have played that game for the best part of 3 years. I've never come across that.
Which is interesting, because the first Pokemon you beat the Elite Four with, I'm pretty sure get a mark on them.
How have I never noticed it? I'm gonna right. I know what I'm doing in the last week before this gets released. I'm looking up some of these mark things because I want to know more about them now. That I like that. I really do like that. So I think it's fair to say that the probably the biggest bit of information we got was Past and Future Donphan.
Yep. Well, we don't know it's Past and Future Donphan, but it's definitely Past and Future Donphan.
Yes, it's... I mean, the fact that the past version is basically like a Woolly Mammoth style one, and the future one basically has like a robot emoji face on the front. It's past and future. It fits the theme of the legendary Pokemon, Koraidon and Miraidon, past and future.
Yep, 100%.
I seen that in the trailer. The animation on the past one looked amazing.
So how convinced are you to still get Scarlet now?
I'm not gonna lie. This last week has been...
Sorry, I meant Violet, because you were planning on getting Violet.
Yes, it's... I've never done this before, but this is the first time in my life of playing Pokemon where I've actually thought, maybe I do just get both versions. And I've had both versions in the past, but it's always been me and my brother. So I get one, he gets one, and then over time he just he doesn't care. I end up getting it. But this is the first time where I've sat there thinking, yeah, maybe I do just get both of them.
Because the thing is, these are revealed to be in what's called the Scarlet Book and the Violet Book.
Yes.
A book written by a team of researchers who went on an expedition somewhere and discovered these Pokemon. These are not going to be the only two past and future forms or paradox Pokemon, as some of the fans have started calling them. I'm fairly convinced the expedition was into the heart of Paldea, into the crater.
Got to be.
Because the last shot we see is Koraidon and Miraidon flying out of that crater.
Yes. So, which makes me think Koraidon and Miraidon coming out, is that basically them coming to find aid for something that is happening in there that is going to affect the Paldea region. And they choose you because, typical legendary Pokemon, and this child over here, like Heart of Gold, good Pokemon trainer, this is the one I'm choosing. This is the, you mentioned earlier on about Koraidon's animation when he's like yawning and stretching his tail. Like, I got major How to Train Your Dragon vibes from that. And wouldn't you know it, How to Train Your Dragon, it's about that bond between the rider and the dragon. and they work together in order to basically save their region.
Oh my god! For months, I've been really annoyed that like the legendaries were going to be our ride Pokemon, and now you've just told me I get to be a Dragon Rider. It has changed my mind completely. It's changed my mind instantly.
Do we know their typings?
Not confirmed, but I'm pretty sure it's Dragon fighting an Electric Dragon. Fairly certain.
Okay. So you're a Dragon Rider in this game? Like, it's so amazing stuff. Like
even the basic people around Paldea ride on Cyclizar, which is a dragon normal type. So
exactly, like
so there's the other question.
Yes.
Is Cyclizar to Donphan what Koraidon is to the Great Tusk and Miraidon is to the Iron Treads?
Feels like it, doesn't it? It makes sense.
But
yeah,
I'm not convinced. I still think there is another dragon that, for instance, Cyclizar is the Carbink to this Diancie.
Okay.
Does that make sense? And then that Pokemon is the modern day form of whatever Koraidon and Miraidon are. I may be wrong, but I'm throwing it out there.
So there's a fourth one. Kind of.
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. Do you believe, thinking of going down this route, that's maybe the Pokemon that is in the crater?
No, I think that's something else entirely.
Oh, okay, right. So you've got theories then about what's in the crater?
Yes, very much so. But I'm not going to put it here because I've just written a video about it.
Oh, this guy, this guy. So, okay, I don't know anything. I've not seen any leaks, thank God. I'm going to guess surely whatever is at the center of that is a cause for concern, and it's something to do with the terrestrialization. I don't think I'm like spitting any like, oh my god, mind blowing information. This is just like, yeah, this is what Pokemon is like. This is you link these things together because they are obvious links. I can't help but feel there is something dangerous, some Pokemon that is dangerous in there, and I'm still the mindset Koraidon and Miraidon have left to get help. Basically,
they've fled looking for aid. Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense.
That's where I'm going with this. So,
and the thing is, this is again what I'm saying about the professors. I think the professors are going to lead us on an expedition into the center of the crater, and I think it might be what could effectively be a post game. So, like, you have to prove yourself on one of the paths before the professors go, okay, we're going to take you with us.
So, that is amazing because let's be honest with you, Sword and Shield's post game pretty lackluster.
Yeah,
other than the DLC, but that isn't technically post game. That's added content. Like base game, Sword and Shield. You go around a couple of gyms, you fight Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
Jedward.
And that's about it. One thing that I do love about Gen 5 is the fact that you finish the Elite Four and you've still got half the map to explore. You've got the full right-hand side of that map to explore. So could you imagine that you are building up this entire story, knowing there's a crater there, knowing you can go around the crater, you can see in the crater, but you cannot go in the crater. They will not let you. You're riding, and that could tie into the story of, yes, Koraidon and Miraidon will fly over it, they'll run around it, they will not take you in it because they know you're not ready yet. And like you say, you beat the Elite Four, you become champion, and the professor, whichever version is like, I think you're ready to know what's down there now. And could you imagine a whole post game where you're exploring caves and going down there and figuring things out? And I love that idea.
And I'd be so up for it.
I love that idea.
This seems like such a big thing that they're bringing into the franchise.
Yes.
That they've held off for so long that I almost feel like they didn't want to drop this info.
Yeah, agreed.
But did it because, game be leaking now. So let's get out ahead of people. Let's get out ahead of somebody spoiling this.
Yeah.
And give people a heads up.
Agreed. And I've got to congratulate them and give them credit where credit's due. They've done it. They haven't spoiled what is going on. They've given you enough hints to kind of go, I know what kind of game this is, and I know what I'm going to be doing. But it's not like it's spoiling the big reveals, the legendary monsters, whatever they might be. So like, kudos to them, I guess. But I just cannot wait to see if what we've been speaking about for a long time, the whole past and future thing, if it is just lip service or it is actually, it does play a part of the game.
I think so, but again, I'll promote myself later when that video's out.
Do it. So one, I can't wait for that video. One thing that I do like about if we're using the terms past and future, but what I do like about that is the fact that it gives us a reason to bring in the Legends Arceus Pokemon into this game.
Yes.
Because there's always that difficulty of when it's always been one of those things where when there's a remake or when there's a later game and you go back and play original ones, it's always a bit jarring, isn't it? When it's like, okay, well, I know this Pokemon can evolve in later games, but I can't in this one just because it didn't technically exist then. And it's the same with the typings. So I was always worried that, okay, the Pokemon that we get in Legends Arceus, are they one and done?
Are they stuck there?
Are they stuck there, exactly? Or are they going to implement them in a later game, but it's going to feel awkward and tacked on? This is a way where it feels almost like, well, you can have your old Pokemon, and there's a story reason behind why they're now reappearing.
Yeah. There is like actually an area where a bunch of otherwise thought extinct Pokemon exist. Yeah.
And it makes me wonder, because obviously we've got Donphan with the past and future. We've got Koraidon and Miraidon with potentially one in the middle. We saw in the trailer Scyther, Sizzle, and Cleaver. Cleaver's obviously past one. Sizzle isn't really future, but it's
got the same feel to it.
Yes, it has. And it's metal, and we've seen it like Miraidon and future Donphan, both metal as well. So it's almost like they kind of work together. Makes you wonder what other Pokemon we have already got either present, past, or future of, and we're going to be getting an extra evolution of some kind for those Pokemon.
Certainly possible. Certainly possible.
And it feels like a great way to maybe get some of those Pokemon from the early generations that have fallen behind a little bit because they haven't got evolutions or they haven't really had chance to shine in the later generations. Like, okay, let's finally give them an evolution. I just cannot wait for it. Just feels like I'm going into this blind, and I love it. Like, there's going to be so many surprises, and just I cannot wait for those moments where you're just wondering, you're like, what is that? What's that doing over there? What's this item? What like when you battle a gym leader and they throw out a Pokemon, you're like, I've never seen this mon before. This is all new to me, and I cannot wait for it.
It's going to be a very, very good game. Right, I got a couple of little bits to throw out there. So first and foremost, we were talking last week about like the cool things you get if you've owned games before.
Oh, yes.
In this one, we get Rotom phone cases.
I like that. I really do like that.
It's cool. It's different. And, it makes sense.
Yeah, we've had similar features. So in Sword and Shield, if you'd played Let's Go, depending on which version, you got a Eevee or Pikachu. Is that right?
Yes.
And if you in BDSP, if you had, I can't remember, was it Sword and Shield? You could get a Mew or Jirachi. I
think you got the Jirachi for Sword and Shield, and you got the Mew for Let's Go.
That's it. This feels almost like a natural progression. I actually prefer it when it's not Pokemon. Don't know if you feel the same way. I prefer that it's something that it always felt a bit weird that you load
just
up a game.
Given a Mew at the very start of the game.
Yeah.
Yes. The only thing I will say is like that was like the first time you could get an official Mew for years. So it wasn't no bad thing. But yes, this is subtle, and in a game about customizing your character exactly the way you like them.
Yes.
It makes sense.
It does.
And as well as like in-game lore, just makes sense that you're a kid. Put a case on your phone.
I like
before
that.
you drop it. I know it can fly, but you might still drop it.
I'm not gonna lie. The whole Rotom phone thing. I like the fact that this is almost the norm now. We got in Sword and Shield. It looks like it's going to be the norm in this. It makes sense. Everyone's got smartphones nowadays. It makes sense that it would double as your Pokedex and your map and everything else. I'm on board with this.
And that's the thing. They are including it now much in the same way as they did in Legends Arceus. It's your map and everything else as well. Great.
Just makes sense.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
We saw the car stick its tongue out.
We did. So
we've seen this in pictures.
Yes.
We've seen this in official artwork, but never in game. Now we've seen it in the game.
So we know we are getting multiple cars, right, in each of those Starfield, Star Path, or whatever it's called. So are we thinking that each of the cars is a different Pokemon, or are we thinking it's just one ghost Pokemon that controls different cars?
I like that you've gone with Ghost. We're pretty, well, I'm pretty convinced that it's one engine that's running a bunch of different cars. Like, they'll all have their own engine Pokemon. I think it'll be like a poison steel type, I can imagine. And we've seen, like, its main form, and then it might have a pre-Evo, which is on the back wheels, which we pointed out a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
And then, each member of Team Star is going to have their own personalized car that Pokemon controls.
Okay.
That's my thinking on it, anyway.
Yeah. I like that.
And then the other little note was Nemona is already a champion.
Oh, yes. I forgot about that.
She turns around and is like, oh, I remember when I became champion. That was my treasure. And she talks to you about, like, someday you're going to get stronger and then we can really have a fight. And it's like, that's great. She's not a rival.
Yeah.
She's a mentor.
So I don't think we're battling here,
I think you've battled her initially to be like, she'll be your first fight, and then you won't fight her again until you attain champion rank.
The thing that I like about that is that every other game, as far as I can remember, except for Generation 1, because Blue is technically the champion, every other generation, it's always been an older adult that's lived life, that has built these bonds with these Pokemon.
Well, hang on. Let's put a stop to that for 2 seconds. She's not the champion.
Oh, she's
champion rank.
Okay.
So the way this works is once you've gained all 8 badges, you attain champion rank, which allows you to battle other champions.
Oh.
Yeah, the head of the league is still big starry girl. I forget her name.
Okay.
Geeta. Geeta is the chairwoman of the Pokemon League.
Oh, with the black hair and Bayonetta style.
Yeah. And then it says, among the region's champions, she reigns supreme.
That's it. I forgot about that.
So there are multiple champions in Paldea. That's what you're working towards.
So, are we getting... Okay, so you beat the typically in Pokemon, you beat the 8 gyms and then you make your way to the final city where you battle the Elite Four. Or in Sword and Shield, it is like a tournament style knockout thing. So either they go down the route of it's a tournament style. Okay, these are all the champions. They're going to be in a knockout style format. However, I'm inclined to think that because Paldea is open world, okay, now you are, you've beaten the gyms and you're in champion rank. Go and track down the other champions and battle them to prove.
Welcome to the Champions League.
Yes. Yeah.
So you earn points and lose points as you battle other champions and ride your way to the top. It's Pokemon Journeys.
Yeah, it feels like it, doesn't it?
Maybe. We'll see. But I'm super excited, and I love that little hint that she's already a champion.
Yeah. I think what the point I was going to make, and I think it's still valid, is that in all the other games, it's always felt like you're special, you're the chosen one. This, like the fact that she is probably only a couple of years older than you and she's attained that rank, you're not special anymore. It makes it feel more realistic, because it's always vexed me a little bit in the other games where, you're a kid rocking out with 6 Pokemon and everyone else only has 2 or 3 for some reason. Even the Elite Four, especially in the later games where they only have each Elite Four member only has 4. Whereas,
they tried something similar with the Island Challenge, which was like, it's just a thing that happens in Alola when you reach a certain age. You're not special for beating it.
Yeah.
but it's a thing that people go through, and some people beat it and some people don't.
It's almost like a rite of passage. It's like, this is everyone's doing it. It's not about whether or not you complete it. It's about helping you to figure out who you are and what you want to achieve in life.
Mm-hmm.
So with this, like, I quite like the idea of the fact that you complete the gyms and it's not, it's just the start of your journey. It's a journey that most other children have gone on, and it's now a case of that's when the real challenge begins.
Yeah.
I like the idea of that. Okay, what else did you spot?
That's the end of my notes here.
Oh, okay. So, hyped. Scale of 1 to 10. Scale of 1 to 10.
9.5.
Okay, right. I think I'm at a 10 now. It's getting a little bit ridiculous. I really want this game. I can't wait to just sit down and play it. And one of the I know I'm plugging a little bit early here, but I'm doing a cage lock with British Eagle, who I've done content with before. What I love about the fact that we're doing a cage lock is it'll force me to use Pokemon that I've never used before and try them out. And like, say, I'll get to meet these Pokemon and fall in love with them and nickname them and go on an adventure with them and then watch them die, because that's what happens in it. Like, I cannot wait to get my hands on this game, and to the point where I'm half tempted to take another couple of days off the following week off work.
Nice.
I'm at the stage where I'm like, have I got enough annual leave to do this? And I kind of really want to do it. I'm
still put off doing a Nuzlocke of it, at least straight away.
I can understand that.
I'm not sure like what counts as an area.
Yeah, I get that.
It's an open world game.
Mm-hmm.
The other big thing for me is I don't know where I'm going.
No, agreed.
I don't know what I'm doing.
I agree. That's one of the reasons why we didn't do a race collab series, because it's not. Yeah, so you can explore at your own pace, and I'm going to if I get both versions, one will be for the cage lock, one will be my time exploring at my own pace, doing a couple of streams with it, so I get to experience both sides of it. So yeah, I'm completely looking forward to this. I think this is probably a good time to point out to listeners that next Friday isn't going to be the review, or whenever we release it, it's not going to be the review, because I just don't think, even if we push things back and move things back, I don't think we could give it a review justice. It would almost be like we're about 3 or 4 hours in. This is what early thoughts, and I think I'd rather hold off.
Yeah, I'd rather play it for a week and then turn around and go, right, this is my deep thoughts on it.
Yeah, but we do have some ideas about what we're going to do next week. But the following week will be the review. Are you ready to move on to our next segment?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it, because we missed out last week because we got so carried away with the pre-orders. It's that time again where we continue watching Pokemon Master Journeys, and we've got 3 episodes again this week, starting with episode 13, Searching for Service with a Smile. Did this episode bring a smile to your face?
Right. So it's an interesting one. Because it's a Puzzle and Mining episode. I didn't need a Puzzle and Mining episode. And when I saw it, I immediately thought, it's a Puzzle and Mining episode, I'm going to hate it.
Yes.
That mining has got some character to it.
It
did make me like it by the end of it.
Yes. So Puzzle and Mining are your typical Pikachu clones that you get every single generation, except for in this one we got 2.
I'd argue it's one of the worst ones as well.
I'd also argue, yes, I would argue with that. There's nothing that really stands out about it, and the fact that we've got 2 that are practically identical makes it even worse.
I mean, it makes sense. They were there to emphasize double battles.
Yeah, it does. Agreed. Maybe we're just not using them in the right way, but there's nothing that really stands out about these Pokemon. Mining, what I will say though is, like, say, Mining has a bit of personality in this. It gives him a bit of character, which I do
some great
like.
Faces.
He does. Should we just quickly recap the story? Not that there is
much, but yeah.
Much. So Devi is an electrician, or apparently he does all services, apparently. He trips and breaks every bone in his body, like typical cartoon style. He's in hospital. The only thing that isn't bandaged is his face. The Minun isn't happy about this. Ash and Go, for whatever reason, decide to support Multa, who is Devi's brother. Maybe they feel guilty. It's not really explained. It's just typical, let's help out. This includes heading into a cave to find a trainer's Tauros that has wandered off. Team Rocket, of course, come along, causing mayhem as usual, and their actions cause some pipes to break. And I love this, decide to steal a load of Tauros only to accidentally release them into the sewer. And so we get one of those episodes where Ash and Go have to work with Team Rocket to save them.
Because it lands on top of Meowth.
Because it lands on top of Meowth, that's it. And that's about it, to be quite honest. There's not a huge story here. It's very much a filler, I guess. I do like episodes of whatever it might be, where the bad guys and good guys are forced to set aside their differences to do something, a common threat or a common goal. This just feels like a really poor common goal. Like, okay, they're trying to save Pokemon. Great.
Yeah, cool.
I guess. Right?
And, like, it doesn't even start that way. It just starts with, yes, we're handymen, but we do everything. It's like, that's not possible.
Yeah, you're basically a master of none. You're just a jack of all trades. We're probably not doing this episode justice, but to be quite honest with you, it feels like there are other episodes I would rather discuss. This was very much
if you skip it, you're not missing anything.
You're not. There was no real character development or growth. You didn't, off the top of my head, really see any of Ash and Go's Pokemon. I can't remember. It has been a couple of weeks since I've watched this now. But it was just one of those episodes where it was a bit of a non-starter. You finished it off and you weren't any more educated, better off, feeling better about yourself. I guess the only great thing about it was that the Minun, which didn't like Multa over time, came to like them, and that was about it.
Not hate her.
Yeah, not hate her is probably the best.
Even though it wasn't even her fault. She didn't do anything.
No, I know. I don't know why. Why was that? Why didn't it like
It assumed it was her fault that he fell over.
I'm trying to remember, why did he fall over? Was he just being clumsy?
I honestly can't remember.
No. Should we move on to
Not too close for comfort.
Yeah. So back over at Cerise Labs, this is really weird. Is this the first time we've seen a Pokemon evolve away from its trainer and it's not via battling?
No, because we saw it at the very first episode of this entire series.
What was that?
Pikachu.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. The Pikachu and the Thunderstone.
No, the Pichu that evolved into Ash's Pikachu.
Oh, yes, we didn't. Oh, yeah, we did. So there is precedent for this.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
so it was an odd one.
It was very strange how that happened, but I think the thing that confused me though, fine, I can get behind a Pokemon evolving off screen. I say off screen, but away from Go. I can get behind that because the way that is set up is that the Pokemon are out in the wild, exploring, learning, and evolve. I say evolving and not evolution, but evolving as in the learning things, the being friendly with a Pokemon and whatnot. What confused me, or an unanswered question, is how does the Pokedex automatically know that Sobble's evolved? Because Go just gets a notification like, oh, Drizzile has been registered to your Pokedex. It's not, if it was in its Pokeball, yeah, I get that. If it returned to its Pokeball, I get that. How does that happen? How does he know? How does the Pokedex know?
How does the Pokedex know anything? Let's be honest here.
I know. But these are the things that take me out of an episode. And I'm just like, wait, what? Like, how? Hey?
What is it? No, they should take you into the episode and be like, how? Let me know. I must dive deep and write 3 essays on this.
But they won't explain it. But they won't explain it. If they explained it, I'd be like, okay, that's fine. I can get behind that. Like, even if it was just like, oh yeah, the cameras at Cerise Labs picked it up and they saw your Sobble, it evolved, and therefore the system is smart enough to push the notification, the data to your Pokedex.
Its digital ID has been registered to your Pokedex, and its ID number changed, which, you know, there was a different code suddenly transmitted between your ball and I don't know, okay?
No.
And in case you couldn't gather, this episode is about Sobble evolving into Drizzile.
Which it's not happy about, which I like, because it thought it was going to become an Inteleon.
I always wondered, right? Because the moment we saw this Pokemon in Sword and Shield, we're like, that's the emo Pokemon then.
Oh, it's the hair. It's just the hair, the face, the slouch. It is just a yeah, you're right, an emo
grumpy
Pokemon.
Teenager.
Yeah, it is, which actually works. It doesn't work in the game because the Pokemon don't have any personality. It works in this though. Like just how it's Drizzile. I just want to give it a hug. It's so sad.
But as we find out that, you know, smothering it with love is not necessarily the best thing forward.
Apparently not. So, question. Why did it think it was evolving into Inteleon? Is it just never met
I just guess it doesn't know.
Yeah, if you don't know, you don't know, do you? Because it's originally happy when it evolves, isn't it? It's when it looks in, is it water it looks in, or a reflection of some kind? Yeah,
it looks into the water and it's like, oh, I'm not an Inteleon.
It's poor little thing. I've got a note here. Drizzile is how I feel some days. Just can't be bothered and easily frustrated. He just wants to be left alone. And he doesn't have the best start, does he? He gets thundershocked, he gets smacked around, he gets scared, and more. Unfortunately, he's off to a terrible start.
And then he just nests.
He just
hides himself in a little cave. He's like, I'm just gonna live here forever. Nobody needs to look at me anymore. I don't even want to see myself. I can't do cool finger guns.
But Go tries to cheer it up, which doesn't work.
And fails miserably.
Cinderace has a different idea, which I don't think you should do this. I've never worked with people with depression, but I don't think this is what you should do. The Cinderace basically just drags it out of the cave.
There are because we all have one friend. And if you don't, you really should. That one friend who's like, you know, are you having a sad day? Right, I'm going to come round, scoop you up, and we're going to go shopping.
Yeah.
That's fine. But sometimes you just need to be a burrito. Yeah. And people need to accept that you're having a burrito day.
Agreed.
I'm going to live in my blanket, and I need you to be okay with that.
Yeah. Those days are fine. If you need a duvet day or whatever it might be, just to have a, you know, get lost in your thoughts and do it. Yeah, that's fine. I don't think Cinderace gave Drizzile a choice though, really. just like, out you come on. Which obviously doesn't work. The Drizzile just wants to go back and just wants to be on its own. But
I will say, could you imagine if Go had both of these be in their middle stage at the same time?
Oh my lord, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, I completely forgot about that. You would be disheartened as a trailer because you don't know what these mons are like. These, like, all Drizziles could just be like this. This is just how they go through. But if you were to have two Pokemon like this at the same time, you would start asking questions about how you raise Pokemon.
Yeah, is it my fault that they're like this? Or is it just all teenagers hate their parents?
Apparently so. But Go learns to connect with the Drizzile through a heart-to-heart reflecting on his past, which I think was quite nice that they take the time to have that conversation.
Yeah, it shows that, again, he's learnt from his experience with Scorbunny, not Scorbunny.
Yeah. Raboot.
Help! Raboot! Thank you.
Yes!
God, it's been one of those days. I'm sorry, my head is full of stuff. Yeah, he's learnt and he's a lot more open and willing to accept the Pokemon for who they are and accept them for the way they are and just be like, look, I'm here if you need me.
Exactly, which is just a great way to be. One thing that I've never thought about this before, but this episode made me think about it, is, like, it must be harrowing for a Pokemon that's just evolved because you're suddenly a new body, different height, size, weight, skills, abilities. Maybe it is just, I don't know, maybe that's me speaking as a human because we know what animals are like where they're literally just giving birth and they're already running around and can do everything, whereas human babies just are
but we assume that animals don't have the same level of consciousness that we do.
True. They do. They just their body just works.
Whereas Pokemon quite clearly do.
Mm.
So yeah, that level of like metamorphosis that evolution in the Pokemon universe would be terrifying. It would be a whole ordeal to go through. And it is fascinating. Like, you know, we saw when Riolu evolved into Lucario, it's like, no, I know Aurasphere now. I'm going to use Aurasphere. So they just know these things about them. And so I can imagine that being comfortable for some and not for others. I mean, we find out that there are certain levels of instinct baked into them because, as we say, the Drizzile starts nesting and starts putting these little water orbs hanging from the ceiling. It's like, that's just what they do. That's their defense mechanism. And it's like, oh, okay, so that's really cool. I like this episode.
I did as well, yeah. And it didn't... I was going to say it didn't feel like a filler. Of course, it's not a filler because, like, a Pokemon Evolved, they are typically never filler episodes. I did have this spoiled for me, by the way, because when I was watching these episodes, I think my daughter went onto Netflix or something. So the first episode I watched was after the previous podcast was episode 16.
Oh no!
And yeah, so I watched all of that. Watched out all of episode 17. I was like, oh, these are really good. And then episode 18, the intro shows Ash and Go with all their Pokemon, and there was a Drizzile. I was like, hold on a second, have they spoiled something, or have I missed something? So I was like, let's just check this. I was like, right, okay. So I had this spoiled for me, even though I knew it was coming. I'm not an idiot. Like, I know Go is going to get all 3 final form evolutions. Like, it's going to happen. Of course it is. But it just meant that I was like, okay, I knew this is coming. I did like this. I also like this episode. It was quite nice to, like I've said, to give the Gen 8 starters personality that they don't get in the games.
Yeah, they kind of get that personality in the opening intro, and then that's really it.
Yeah, and if, depending on which starters you chose, like, Drizzile was the one for me that I never got to see, because Leon chose the Sobble, and then he had the Inteleon, so Drizzile was a bit of a non-Pokemon for me by the time I saw it. So it's quite good to be able to see it in action, in the anime, bit more life to it. Really enjoyed it. Let's move on. Which moves
us on to the last one.
On land.
On land, in the sea, and to the future.
Yes. So, I'm not going to completely lie. I don't remember a lot about this other than, was this the swimming episode?
This is the Vaporeon episode.
This is the Vaporeon episode. Yeah, so we're off to take, we're doing a water race, aren't we?
Yes.
So
another one.
Another one. Yeah, another one, actually, yeah. So, at first, I thought this was going to be a Chloe episode.
It kind of is.
Kind of is. Not as much as maybe some of the other ones have been, where Ash and Go have taken very much a backseat. They
kind of not even on screen for the vast majority of it.
Yeah. What I loved about this episode wasn't even, it was the Pokemon, I think, that I loved about this episode. Not necessarily.
Was it Dracovish being an absolute legend?
He's just Dracovish. I just love
Dracovish. I can't swim, but I'm going to run across the ocean floor.
I know. I was just like, wait, what? Dracovish is a terrible swimmer, which actually does make sense because, like, I know it wasn't built for this. It wasn't built for it. It's 2 Pokemon fused together. Of course, he's not going to be a good swimmer. And what I didn't realize is those little fins. They're its actual fins, because you don't get to see it swim in the game, so they don't do anything in the game. They just dangle there. Whereas in this, I was like, how is this Pokemon swimming? And then they show you, and I'm like, yeah, that explains why it's a terrible swimmer. It makes sense.
Dugong's a flirt, as always.
As always.
It's weird that I like that in a, like, it's creepy when Brock does it, because they're like real people.
Yes.
But Dugong picking a fight with a Huntail over a Gorobis? It's great. It's like, so good.
It was good. I did enjoy that as well. And you know what? One of the highlights for me is that the Pokemon working together and like, what's the note I've got here? Yeah. So if I'm remembering this episode correctly, the Pokemon do a lot of communicating with one another, but there isn't Meowth there to translate, which was one of our
gripes about the last episode.
It was like, we know what the Pokemon are saying. We're not daft, like, we can see it, so just let them interact and be Pokemon and don't interpret everything for us. And that's one of the things that I liked about this. And you didn't need Meowth there to explain that Dugong has fallen for the Gorbis and is mad at the Huntail because of it. Just like you can show it with the animation, and it worked. This is one of the episodes where, for the most part, it feels like filler. Sorry, for the most part, it is filler, but it doesn't feel like it. It's still entertaining.
Is it filler, or is this the start of what we're about to see as Chloe's path, that's why Eevee interacting with the Evolutions.
Yes, so that's why I said mainly, because there was that little bit at the end, like you say, where she's handed a Water Stone, and there is a point where you're thinking, oh, like she just gained Vaporeon, like we're done and dusted, but no. Chloe wants to let Eevee decide, which is, I think that speaks to her maturity, that, Pokemon have feelings and thoughts, and therefore it's up to them to decide when they want to evolve, unlike the games where you just go, I caught that Eevee, I'm going to force you to evolve just to complete my Pokedex, and you're going to sit in the box for your rest of your life as a Pokemon you probably didn't want to be. But this episode, I think, is starting to highlight where Chloe's story is going. Yep,
I think so. And I have had a friend of mine who watched through all of this with her daughter and got very annoyed. But apparently Leafeon gets no love.
Oh, really?
Apparently every other evolution gets an episode except Leafeon.
And they just forget about Leafeon. Oh, I love Leafeon's design as well. I
think it's one of the coolest.
Yeah, agreed. It works really well, and I love how they implemented that in the games where it was a mossy stone, wasn't it? In the first time? Yes. I love that. It's a bit of a shame then that we're not getting okay, fair enough. But yeah, so I did enjoy this episode, mainly for the Pokemon and the interactions between them more than anything else.
Yeah, no, it was fine. I was a little bit put off that it was another water race. We've had lots of swimming episodes. We had the Piplup, we had the girl in her Feebas, and now this one. It just seems like we're treading water a lot. We're retracing our steps quite frequently, and I'm a little bit done with it. I don't need a swimming episode again.
Would have preferred it if it was, maybe this was one of the later Eevee episodes, so you got a chance to see some of the others and there was a bit more of a gap.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, definitely agreed. I think out of all the water episodes that we've seen where it is a race format of some variety or it's something to do with water, this was my favorite, but again, because of the Pokemon more than the story.
Agreed. Agreed.
I am looking forward to discussing the next two, but you'll have to come back next week, because I say the next two because I've only watched the next two. I still need to watch episode 18, but the next week I'm really looking forward to talking about these episodes.
Okay, interesting. I haven't watched them yet, so I will look forward to that.
Get around to it. You will not be disappointed. So, Connor, you up for playing a game?
I am. We've got time this week. Let's play a game.
Perfect. In front of me, I have 3 Pokemon with 3 Pokedex entries each, and Connor has to spot the fake entry. So, Pokemon number 1 is Plusle. It has the trait of cheering on its fellow Pokemon. By shorting out the electricity it releases from its pores, it creates pom-poms for cheering.
Cute.
Second entry. It absorbs electricity from telephone poles. It shorts out its body to create crackling noises. And the third and final one. Wherever there is a Plusle, there is sure to be a miner nearby. They sing to cheer on their Pokemon allies.
I feel like it should be the second one, because that sounds ridiculous, but I'm going to go with the third one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going to go with the third one, even though it might be the first one, because they do that in the episode. I'm second guessing myself. Right, I'm going to go with the third one.
You're right, not to second guess yourself. Well done. It was number 3.
Okay, good.
Spot on. You're right. The first one was in the anime, so I thought I'd throw that one on there. And the second one just feels a bit strange and lackluster. Yeah, compared to the other ones. So I was hoping to trip you up there. The second Pokemon this week is Minun. Exposure to electricity from Minun and Plusle promotes blood circulation and relaxes muscles. Minun is more concerned about cheering on its partners than its own safety. It shorts out the electricity in its body to create brilliant showers of sparks to cheer on its teammates.
Is that all one Pokedex entry?
That's sorry. So
Okay,
that was 2. So exposure.
I thought so. I was like, well, because sometimes the Ruby and Sapphire ones are super long.
So long. Do you want me to read them again?
Yes, please.
Okay, so the first Pokedex entry: exposure to electricity from Minun and Plusle promotes blood circulation and relaxes muscles. For the second Pokedex entry, Minun is more concerned about cheering on its partners than its own safety. It shorts out the electricity in its body to create brilliant showers of sparks to cheer on its teammates. And the third and final Pokedex entry, whenever there is the slightest sign of rain, Minun will run for cover and won't emerge until it spots sunlight.
This is a hard one.
Okay, good.
I'm going to go, and this is maybe a little bit counterproductive. I'm going to go with the second one because it sounds the most real.
Second one because it sounds the most real. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's the third one. I'm glad you had to think about that because I didn't highlight which one was the fake one. So I'm like Googling it, trying to find it. So it is the third one. I did panic for a little bit there. So apparently it doesn't run at the slightest bit of rain. And
it was such a weird thing that I was like, there's no way you'd have wrote that. Because I'd never believe that.
Yeah.
So you'd never write that. See, you started playing mind games. I see how it is.
Got to play these mind games. I've got to stop you from getting the perfect 3 out of 3 again. The final Pokemon, Drizzile. So, Pokedex entry number 1. A clever combatant. This Pokemon battles using water balloons created with moisture secreted from its palms. Pokedex entry number 2. It's impossible to grab Drizzile's hands or feet because of the slimy mucus that covers them. And the third and final Pokedex entry. Highly intelligent, but also very lazy. It keeps enemies out of its territory by laying traps everywhere.
I don't think it's lazy.
I agree, but maybe I just wrote that. Who knows? So I really hope this is a difficult one for you.
I don't think it is lazy.
Okay.
But I also feel like it's something that would be said in a Pokedex entry. And there's not been many. And this is the thing I found out when we did Grookey, is there's not been many, and the anime doesn't randomly like add bits in for the starter Pokemon. So the laying traps thing is likely a thing that's actually in the Pokedex entry. The slimy mucus, and what was the first one? Is it uses its hands to...
So, clever combatant, this Pokemon battles using water balloons created with moisture secreted from its palms.
Let's go with that one. Let's go with that one, even though I kind of think it's the slimy hands one, but I'm going to go with the first one.
Okay, it is the slimy hands one.
It's the slimy hands one.
It's the slimy hands one. So right, there is only 2 Pokedex entries for Drizzile. One for Sword, one for Shield. That's all we've got.
Yeah, makes sense.
So, 1 out of 3 this week?
Unfortunately.
But I think another week you might have got all 3 for this one. It feels
I don't
like...
know. You threw me with the second one.
Second one, okay.
There were some really strong mind games going on there.
Okay, I enjoyed that. Fantastic. Let's move on to comments and questions. We have had a question from somebody new, so of course we're going to read that out. So this is from King Nido. Hello, legends. Thank you so much for this podcast that you put out each week. Love it. By the way, tell your friends. With the Scarlet and Violet release oh so close now, what are your hopes and expectations for the final forms of the starter Pokemon? Hope that excitement is building and you're able to avoid those spoilers.
So, first thing I'm going to say is it'll be King Nido, buddy. Come on.
Yeah, I completely butchered that. The moment I said it, I was like, yeah, that's wrong. Sorry.
The other thing is I have been spoiled. Every time I go onto YouTube now on my phone, the very first video is latest spoilers, latest leaked Pokemon, and they're all in the thumbnail.
Oh, I hate YouTubers that do that.
I've seen so much at this point. So I have seen all the final starter evolutions. So I can't really give my thoughts on this, other than I might not pick Sprigatito anymore.
Ooh, okay, right. So I'm fine with that. That was out of the 3, that's the one I was least likely to get. I'm not a huge fan of cats in real life, let alone cat Pokemon. I already know I'm getting Fuecoco, and that's not... Or the only thing I've seen is that I read somewhere that someone that's seen the third form says that it went from being their least favorite to their most favorite. Don't know what that means though. However, Fuecoco just on its own, like that design is a thing of beauty. I absolutely love it. It just seems like. Did you ever used to play Cut the Rope on smartphones?
Mm-hmm. The little green guy.
Yeah, that's what it reminds me of. And he was just like so happy and he just wanted his candy. That's all he wanted. So I'm well happy with this.
See, it reminds me. Did you ever play Bubble Bubble? Bubble Bubble?
No, but I've got a feeling if I Googled whatever you're about to tell me, I'd be like, oh yeah, I do recognize that.
Yeah, the Bubble Bubble were like two little dinosaur buddies.
Bubble Bubble. Oh, yeah, I see that. Yeah, I can see that as well. Oh, they're so cute. Yeah, so to answer your actual question, hopes and expectations for the final form of the starter Pokemon. I'm personally hoping that we don't go where we seem to be going with starters, where they suddenly reach the third and final evolution and they're almost furries. Like they're stood up on two legs. They are very humanoid in appearance. We got that a lot with Gen 8. Like all of them were stood up on two legs and everything. I want things that feel more like pocket monsters than they do human monsters, I guess. With Fuecoco, I'm honestly, I don't know what we're going to get in terms of extra typings. I remember the lead up to Gen 8, and everyone was saying that Cinderace was going to be our very first fire electric type Pokemon. That turned out to be a lie. They were just fire, grass, and water, which actually I thought was quite refreshing. I don't want to see that in this. If Fuecoco is Fire Dragon or something like that, I'll be a very happy boy. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. Do you know which starter you're picking?
I might pick Fuecoco now.
Oh,
because it was a case of like I was Sprigatito and then Fuecoco was my backup if Sprigatito's evolution didn't do it for me.
Okay.
Sprigatito's evolution doesn't do it to me, so I'm going Fuecoco.
Okay, right, fair enough. Any chance that you're just going to do a bit of trading at the start and get all three?
No.
Okay, you're picking your one and going for it?
No, because I don't know how long you have to be into the game until you can do trading and stuff like that.
True. See, if we had Pokemon Home straight from the start, this would be easy, but
it'd be very easy.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Thanks for the question. Let's move on to questions from YouTube. So, from Tony, where's somewhere you've always wanted to travel, whether in the Pokemon world, our world, or both? I'm going to do real world and Pokemon world. So, real world. Honestly, I've always wanted to visit Tokyo. I would just love to see what it's all about. I don't know a lot about it, but everyone that I've ever heard of going there, whether or not it's on podcast, YouTube, or whatever, and people have discussed it, have always said that it's an amazing city to visit.
It is fantastic. It's literally mind-blowing. There's nowhere else in the world like it.
Wow. Okay, there we go. And in terms of the Pokemon world, where would I want to go? Probably Alola. It's like, come on, it's sun, sea, and sand, like with tropical drinks and being able to relax, and you can go up to a volcano to take a look at it. There's an observatory. You can ride Pokemon across the ocean. It just ticks a lot of boxes for me, Alola does.
That's absolutely fair. No, that's a good choice. For me, real world, New Zealand. Ever since I watched Lord of the Rings, New Zealand has been on the list. I've got a sister who lives out in New Zealand. She loves it to death. I should really go visit her at some point.
Yeah, but be careful of the orcs.
Careful of the orcs. They're going to get you.
They're going to get you.
It's fine, because they don't come out in daylight.
Oh, so you're fine. You're fine.
Anymore.
Okay. Anymore.
As for the Pokemon world, I mean, I think I've said it before, but like GlitchxCity might be my favorite place in every Pokemon game.
Yeah.
It's so full of history and lore, and it just looks gorgeous. You have the kimono girls, which are just like more traditional areas, and like that traditional aspect of Japan has always been something I'm very fascinated by. I can just imagine it being full of temples, and you got the towers there, and you can go see all the monks in the monasteries, and very much want to go to GlitchxCity.
I can understand that. It's absolutely like when you see it in the game, it doesn't do it justice compared to when you see it in the anime. It looks gorgeous. It looks amazing. And yeah, I can completely understand going there, especially in autumn. Whenever I see it in the anime, it's always autumn. and it's just the red and yellow leaves just look astounding. They look amazing. If you've got a comment or question, you can reach us by leaving a comment on our podcast on YouTube, by emailing goldenrodpod@gmail.com, or by leaving it on our Discord channel. So the next section, we're talking about plugs. I want to hear what you've got going on, because it sounds really good from what you were talking about earlier.
So I think I have found what could be at the base of the crater in Scarlet and Violet, as well as what Game Freak have based it on.
Okay, so you've got strong evidence then, I take it. You think you've nailed it?
It's a mini theory.
Mini theory, okay.
But, yeah, no, I'm quite happy with it.
Good. When are you planning on putting this out?
Sometime next week.
Okay.
Before release.
Yes, okay, that makes sense. Connor, I love supporting you on YouTube, but this might be one of those videos I do not watch this at this point.
That's fair.
I might have to come back and watch this, which is a shame, because like I mentioned on the comment on one of your latest videos about, I think it was your latest video about the HM slaves and whether or not they are actually better. I think you probably swung a lot of people around. I think a lot of people
got really angry at that.
Did they? Oh,
it's
okay.
one of my most disliked videos.
Oh, is it? I wouldn't surprise me if some of them. We know what this is. Content creators.
They dislike the title rather than the video.
Yes, unfortunately, and the
amount. And I will say a lot of the comments were very productive and very in depth. Like, actually, I disagree, and here's why.
Yeah,
well-reasoned arguments. It was good fun.
It was. Yeah, I think it's one of those where you can't be wrong. You're just right based on what your feelings and thoughts are.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was a great conversation. Absolutely loved it. In terms of my plugs, I feel like this was months ago that I spoke about this, but tomorrow, this goes live on Friday, so tomorrow, the Saturday, I am finally putting out 2 videos. I've never tried this before. I've just always wanted to try it. I'm putting out 2 videos where I set myself a time limit to go out and build a team to take on a randomized Elite Four with a 50% level boost, and I can't use items either. So the first one is Pokemon, it's Gen 1. I can't remember which game it is. 15 minutes. It goes as well as you can probably expect, because all the Pokemon in the wild are low level, and there's not enough time to use rare candies, so it doesn't go great. Generation 2, which is the second one, goes a little bit better, mainly because I learned from my mistakes. But to be quite honest with you, what I've really enjoyed about editing them is that it allows me to be a bit creative, which you don't typically get to do in your Let's Play style videos. So it's always nice to be able to jump into After Effects and do a bit of editing and whatnot. Really happy with how some of the humor has turned out as well. So they'll be going live on Saturday. So please do watch them. The way I'm going to do it is they're both going to go live at roughly the same time, but one links into the other. And I'm just hoping that maybe it reaches a few new people, but we'll wait and see.
Fingers crossed.
Thank you very much. And that's the show for this week. If you've gotten this far, you're just a top dollar, aren't you? Connor, where can we find you?
You can find me on my YouTube channel at Captain Fidget, or on Twitter at CapFidget.
I'm Ben, and you can find me as Professor Hoenn Gaming on YouTube and Professor Hoenn on Twitter and Twitch. As for the Goldenrod Podcast, you can find us on the usual platforms. Search for Goldenrod Podcast on YouTube or on your usual podcast app. Leave a like on YouTube or a 5-star review if you're listening as a podcast. We'll be back next Friday, maybe Thursday?
Maybe Thursday,
for another week of Pokemon podcast content.
See ya!